Hey fam, welcome to Life Beyond the Finish Line. I'm your host, Orlandina Ballin. I'm an educator, women's physique pro in the International Federation of Bodybuilding, and your holistic lifestyle coach. I am the Fitter Woman. And today I have with me Mr. David Peele. David is an experienced athletic trainer with over a decade in the field. He's a Staten Island native. He earned his bachelor's and master's degree in sports medicine and athletic training from LIU Brooklyn campus. A couple of his career highlights include serving as the international head athletic trainer for the NYC Handball Club during the IHF Super Globe Championships, traveling to Montpellier, France, and Dammam, Saudi Arabia. Additionally, he worked as the assistant athletic trainer for Nigeria's men's national basketball team during the FIBA tournament in Kigali, Rwanda. These international experiences help them to build a strong professional relationship with athletes and coaching staff, adapting to diverse cultures, furthering his experience. Fam, they don't make them like this.
No,
They don't make them like this. He is most definitely a different breed. Hey, David, thank you so much for joining us.
no problem. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you came. I met you a few years ago through a mutual friend of ours.
Yes.
And just watching you and seeing how you've been moving and just training and traveling. What is it like? Tell us, I don't know, I'm sure you have an athletic career, but tell us about your athletic career and how did you transition to sports medicine?
So I'll put it to you like this. Growing up, I never made it on like a basketball team or anything. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So growing up, I never made it on a basketball team. So most of my athleticism came from playing street ball. So, playing street ball, playing pickup ball. Even when I got into college, I couldn't really play for a team because once I got into the program of athletic training, it was pretty much I was waking up just like the same time the athletes were waking up just to take care of them because I had a shadow an athletic trainer or a head athletic trainer.
Okay.
So pretty much with me, it was just me loving sports and loving to take care of people.
I love that because as an athlete, we understand how important an athletic trainer is. Like you guys help us stay fit, stay healthy, and when we're not fit and healthy, you get us you get us back into play mode. I was looking through the info that you sent me, and the first thing that came to mind was Kendrick Lamar's song "Not Like Us" because you'd sent me this photo and it said a different breed. Why do you brand yourself in that way, a different breed?
It's just how I maneuver within athletic training, like the athlete, and that's where my business come from, the AT world according to Afolabi, because it's an athletic training world according to me. So I'm letting you know how I see athletic training compared to how others might see it. Others might see it differently. They might give you their perspective. This is mine, and I'm making athletic training fun for people to understand because athletic training, it now is getting the spotlight, but before it wasn't getting the spotlight. We were known to be behind the scenes, so whenever somebody would get hurt, nobody really knew who we were. Now you're starting to see it, and I've always been an advocate of athletic training, being an athletic trainer, telling people who I am, what I do, and how I take care of the athletes. To not to go off track from your question. Hopefully I'm still
you're still on track.
Okay,
Go ahead.
cool.
Yep.
I would say different breed. How I maneuver as an athletic trainer, to give an example of that, is mainly how I take care of the patients, how I take care of the athletes. That's what makes me a different breed because I believe in when an athlete or a client gets hurt, because little do people know that athletic trainers, even though you hear the word athletic, they automatically think it's just for athletes. No, we take care of the general population as well. Your weekend runners, the blue collar workers. Oh man, so I took a different path, a different avenue within my career. And that's what's so unique about my career because we don't athletic trainers, we don't just work in collegiate settings or pro settings. We can work in hospitals. We can work for the FDNY, NYPD. And industrial is basically, we're applying the same method as we would taking care of the athletes, but bringing it towards people that work in warehouses, Google, Amazon,
That's genius. These are very, very physical jobs. very physical careers. I have friends of mine that are with the Department of Sanitation. Most people don't like to stand apart from the crowd. Everybody likes to go with the flow, and because it makes them uncomfortable to stand apart and stand alone. And why are you comfortable with standing apart?
I am most comfortable in the most uncomfortable settings. I
Wow.
like to
Say that again.
I am most comfortable in the uncomfortable settings. I like to think outside the box. You ever see like on Instagram or you see those stories or posts where you see one line of people going in one direction, you have that one person going that other direction.
Yes.
I'm that one person.
Okay.
I like to be unique. I like to stand out. I don't want to be a clone. I don't want to do what everybody's doing.
I like
I'm
that.
cool with that.
And I love that because we all have our, if you think about like a symphony or a band or the HBCU marching bands, each instrument has its own sound, but together they make music. So for you to say, I'm going to stand apart, make my own melody, but when we all come together, we make beautiful music. What is always your goal of an athlete who sustained an injury um, or has hit his peak? Because sometimes we come across athletes like that who've hit their peak and they've sustained some type of career-ending injury. What approach do you take with that athlete versus that athlete that they got hurt on the game? How do you help that person?
That's a great question. It's usually their understanding. First of all, you gotta understand the athlete. When they get injured, the injury is the athlete's worst opponent. Not so much of who they're playing, but that injury, because it takes a toll on them physically and mentally. So, understanding those factors, here's what comes into play with me: communicating with the athlete, seeing where they're at mentally, also educating them about their rehab program. So it's like not them just coming in and just doing a rehab program. Understanding like, hey, listen, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some days you're gonna hate me. There's gonna be some days you're gonna love me. But however, whichever way, I need for you to meet me halfway. Now, when you get to that point where it's like career ending and they go through the surgery, but they're still on the roster, so they still, can come into the athletic training room, get treatment, get rehab. I try to incorporate the whole team with it.
Nice. How do you do that?
So basically, when it gets to the point of we go through a phase of where it's rehab and then return to activity. Activity doesn't necessarily have to mean the basketball, but activities of daily living. You're walking, pain free. So once I start switching up that lingo, because if I keep on saying it's rehab, 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 understanding what you're putting in that athlete's mind, that they're constantly injured, right? I want them to know, like, you're going to the first phase of the rehab. Now you're on the phase of returning to activity.
Yeah.
Because now you're giving that clarity, like, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. There's life beyond that finish line.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it gets to that point, now I'm incorporating the team coming in, talking to them, or speaking to the coach, saying, hey, coach, listen, this athlete probably, they're where they're at right now.
Yeah.
But they still want to be part of the team. What are some ways that they can be part of the team? And they could be on the sideline helping coach, if it's basketball and they really know their stuff, or if they don't, I try to make it where they can help me out as well. Hey, listen, come through, help. Hey, could you just get these waters for me while I take care of this person? They still feel like they're part of the team.
That's right.
And that's how I approach it.
Your expertise is in injury prevention, rehabilitation, and peak performance training, right?
Yeah.
So do you find that athletes come to you more for the rehabilitation part or for the prevention part? Because I know as an athlete, like we usually go look for our PT or once we've done something.
Right.
So do you find most people come to you before to be preventative or afterwards? We're very stubborn.
I get a combination of both. Where it's like they'll certain athletes will come to me ahead of time and give me the heads up. Hey, listen, this has been bothering me. I'm going to come see you. Yeah. All right, cool. And I had the ones that would come to me. Yeah, it's been bothering me like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But this is where we at now. Okay, why didn't you come to me then? Oh, I thought I pushed through it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Get it. I before earlier in my career, like my first started, I used to get mad about it. Now I don't. After a period of time, I didn't because I started to think like, well, I'm feeling sick. I remember when I was in college and I was feeling sick,
Yeah.
I still pushed myself. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right. But then I also let them know this is where you gotta educate them and make it,
Yes.
friendly. Like, hey, okay, cool. Listen, I get it and I understand it.
Mhm.
But if you want to continue playing, you have to communicate with me.
Correct.
Communication is key.
Correct.
You let me know what's going on. We can attend to it early and we can reduce the risk of you on the bench.
Yeah. So then that's going to lead me to my next question. A lot of times we're taught to push past the pain, right? And that's supposed to be a really, really good character, push past the pain. And even as Black folks, as African Americans, as immigrants, we're always taught, suck it up, push past it.
Right.
When is it okay to push? When is it okay to listen and fall back? And how do we tell the difference?
Your body will let you know. Your body definitely. You can say
Yes.
you can say like, hey, listen, like your brain can be like, hey, you can play around and try to psych yourself out and say, nah, I can do it. There's gonna come that time where the body's gonna be like, oh, you don't want to listen? Damn. All right. Then you have no choice.
Yes.
But to listen
But
to your
to sit
body.
down.
Yeah.
I remember I completely tore my AC. I think that's when I met you. I think I was on crutches, or maybe after. I don't know. But I completely tore my ACL for that reason. I didn't realize that my body was telling me I need to sit down. But then later I found out I needed to sit down only for physically, but I needed to sit down for spiritual reasons as well. So life sat me down, or God sat me down. I'm just going to call it what it is. God sat me down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for that reason, because I wasn't listening to my body, but I also wasn't listening to my spirit and not really focusing on the purpose that God had set aside for me. So because I was too busy becoming a bodybuilder, I was too busy training, I was too busy trying to be the next big athlete, not realizing that my purpose is more than that. So as an athletic trainer, do you feel that your purpose is to be an athletic trainer, or do you feel that your purpose is to be a trainer along with something else? And if so, what is that something else? It doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but I'm just thinking.
Man, you got some great questions.
Thank
but
you.
I can't.
Listen, they come across my spirit and I ask.
You have me thinking. This is good. I like that. Honestly, I feel like it could be beyond athletic training, and I'm still finding it.
I like that.
And the reason why I don't have a set answer yet is because I'm in the midst of just enjoying that journey.
Yes.
So it could be any, I'm going through the changes of athletic training as an athletic trainer now.
Yeah.
Like I left athletics and went to pursue industrial. So if I had left athletics, went to pursue industrial, who's to say what's next?
So what led to that? What led to that moment where you said, you know what, I need to go and shift into that?
I want to change. I want to change. Athletics was cool. I loved it. But it got to the point where I was like, I want to enjoy my life more. Anybody that knows that being an athletic trainer, period, it's a demanding job. It's all hands on deck. 24/7, 365, 7 days a week. You either on the road or you work in the practice, work in the game, traveling, you doing it all.
Okay.
You very rarely get to take a break. You don't get no vacation days. That started to wear on me a bit.
Okay.
And I started to realize like, hey, I'm missing time with family. I'm missing time with friends. I want my weekends back.
Okay.
But I don't want to leave athletic training. I said, I'm still going to be an athletic trainer. What can I do? So it took me taking a step back and having a by myself meeting. The
Mm.
by myself meeting, and I quote from
Yeah.
Capadonna of the Wu-Tang Clan,
Ah.
when he was saying, and every evening I have a by myself meeting. I always have those because you need to have those by myself meetings. Could be me at the crib, just deep in thought, or me just traveling somewhere by myself.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I had a recent by myself meeting
What
on my
was on the
birthday.
agenda?
On my
What was on the
birthday,
agenda on your birthday?
on my birthday. I was
Mm.
in Ecuador. I went to South America by myself, and I
Okay.
just chilled. And while I was sitting out there on the beach, just thought about everything by myself. Just recollect, refresh my mind. Phone was up in my room, and
Mhm.
I'm staring to the seeing the sunset, and
Beautiful.
just thinking like, all right, what's my next move? What do I have to do? So doing stuff like that helps me mentally and gives me clarity. So when I came back, I was ready to go for work.
A by myself meeting. You know, a lot of times people are afraid to be by themselves.
Yes.
And it's fearful because a lot of things come up when we're sitting by ourselves. Because I've done those things, those by myself meetings,
Mm-hmm.
those traveling on my own. I went to like Ocean City, got a
Nice.
hotel overlooking the beach, and that weekend that just happened to be the full moon,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that. And it just happened to be, and I was looking out over the ocean. What do I need to do next? And I feel like this is what Life Beyond the Finish Line. This is what this podcast answers. It's what do I do next and how do I go about it? And that's perfect. Having those by yourself moments, even when it's fearful, because a lot of stuff is going to come up. They call it mirror work. You know, you hold this mirror up and you're looking at all the things that make you, um, and you get to see all of your beauty and all of your boogers, all of that. You get to see all of it,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to embrace it and you get to begin to find your purpose and journey. And as you said, I haven't figured it all out yet, but you allowed yourself the time to download that information. And when we come back, I want you to tell us about what that download has led to. I know you're now moving into industrial training, athletic training, but what is that leading to? So you are listening to Life Beyond the Finish Line on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Orlandina Ballin, aka the Fitter Woman, and today we have with us David Peele, an athletic trainer and expert in sports medicine, and we're talking about what it takes to stay ahead, the mindset behind quick decisions, and how your experiences can shape you into becoming a different breed in the game of life. So are you still currently working with athletes or have you fully transitioned to industrial the industrial sector?
I'm doing both still.
Okay.
Full time is the industrial, part time is with athletes. Shout out to Brooklyn Run and Speed, Richard James. Sunday, I help him out and everything. So
Good.
it's fun. So I still have that itch for athletics. That
Okay.
hasn't left me. It's just I'm just on a different path when it comes to my life, what I want next in
Yes.
my
What do I want
chapter.
next?
So that's where I'm at with everything.
So what about the person who is retired? What do they come to you still? Like, because when I think of retired athletes, there's a lot of old injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that you're explaining where you are, you have people who are older in that field. So let's talk about that person. How do you help the person that is getting older to get through the injuries or to get through to move better, to be free from pain? Because if I've been a sanitation worker for 20 years, I've been putting my body through some serious, stress and putting in a lot of physical activity. So NYPD, running, FDNY, all of these things. So after a time, these activities take a toll on the body. So what do we do with the person that is aging, getting wiser, I like to say?
Yes. Educate them. They don't know. Some don't know. And having that knowledge, me being able to, acquire the knowledge that I've acquired over a decade plus, being able to let them know without all the medical terms, but keeping it simple and sweet. Whenever I do hear some, because some will say, "Oh, I'm getting old." It's
Yes,
like,
yes.
that's a mind
Today,
frame.
having that same conversation
That's
with
a
someone, I'm
mind
like,
frame.
they say, I'm too old. I'm like, you want to know when you're too old? When you under the ground, then you're too old. So what do you do? How do you change that mindset?
Verbal cues, saying certain things that will stick so they can understand. Letting them know, hey, listen, you're not getting old. It's just been years of probably not paying attention to a certain aspect of your body. And over that time, it's now communicating with you. It's now letting you know that it's tired, it's fatigue. You know. So now when you do a certain stretch and you're like, oh, you compare one side to the other, it's one side is probably a little bit more flexible than the other.
Yes.
But you have another side that's a little bit like, Don't say you're getting old. Don't say that. What you need to understand is that what's going on, you just need to give that particular area of your body a little bit more tender love and care. Yeah. That's what's going on.
Give it that me talk, that me conversation, exactly. That left side. Look, left side. I know you type, but come on,
Positive talk, because it's said that when you speak negative, your body doesn't know, your spirit doesn't know if you're joking or not.
No, it doesn't.
So you have to be careful. And people say easier said than done.
Yes.
I've always say when people tell me that, like, I made the first move already.
That's so right.
If I can do it, you can do it. It's just how you just have to reprogram yourself.
It is like reprogramming.
Unlearn to learn again, because sometimes it could be just the type of environment that you grew up in, or the people that you have surrounded yourself with, that you just happen to catch on to that and probably speak to yourself in that type of way, subconsciously, not even noticing, not even noticing
that's been poured into your spirit. So now you're just pushing forth what you've taken in. So now you've got to change the conversation. There's a quote that says, "As above, as above, so below." Yes. So whatever you're putting out there, that's what you're going to put into your spirit. So I like, even before you spoke about changing the term from rehab to, okay, I'm getting ready to move in the outside world, changing the way we talk. I'm not getting older. I just got to give myself that tender, loving care. So how can our listeners connect with you?
You can connect with me on my business page, AT World AT World Afolabi. That's AT World Afolabi, which is my middle name, AFOLABI.
What does that mean?
Afolabi. So I'm named after my dad. I have my dad's first and middle name. Mm-hmm. So his name is David as well, but I carry his middle name, Afolabi, which is of Nigerian descent and is part of the Yoruba tribe. Mm-hmm. The name Afolabi means born in wealth.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you're just speaking these things. Gems. So you heard that. That's how you can connect with him. And I always end each of my interviews with this question. Every branch of the military has a service motto. These mottos reflect and reinforce each unit's values and traditions. Navy SEALs say, ready to lead, ready to follow, never quit. So let's fast forward to the future, and you are being inducted into the Hall of Champions. What personal motto do you live by that you would like inscribed under your name and to share with our audience?
Now, we say model as far as...
What is your life motto? Something that you live by. I say bigger, fitter, stronger. Bigger in mind, fitter in body, stronger in spirit. What life motto do you live by?
My life motto would be persevere, focus, and be dedicated.
You heard that, fam? Say it one more time.
Persevere, focus, and be dedicated.
Perfect. I think it's perfect ending or just beginning. So, David, I want to thank you for sharing your inspirational story, your insights on what it means to be a different breed.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Fam, my name is Orlandina Ballin, aka The Fitter Woman, inviting you to join me next time on Life Beyond the Finish Line, available wherever you listen to podcasts and always right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.